Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye
Unatazama Sound Can't Talk Live.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for another amazing episode, another amazing moment inside the building. I have the crew, and I want to appreciate everyone that is watching up. For today is the day that we are going to have analyzing our what we call in the perspective of the week. And it means in the studio, I'm not alone. Tuko na Mbugi nzima inside the building. Bernard is joining us from diaspora, and then you are seeing Dagi and Josine inside the studio joining us for the other side. What I want to ask you, Kenyans, please share the video. Don't watch alone. Come to the analyzing of the week way, and we have a good and a better day and a better discussion today. So today on the panel or on the board, I have amazing stories. One of the stories on the day that is eating up the day is about the police station. Watu waliamua kufanya nini kufunga police station because ilikuwa with the rent arrears. Tukiachana na we have the conflict or the argument between Raila Karua and Baba himself. And then apart from that one, we'll be checking out the Ruto with the regime about the story ambayo inazidi kutrend sana about employing and firing. That was the headline yesterday that Douglas did it to us. We employ you and fire you. I'm praying that the employees me and fire me. Until I've this after 2 months, I'll be somewhere. What I want is to please don't go away. We're having a lot on board. Today we are live on Sound Can Talk TV, Sound Can Talk Facebook, and God will bless you if you do the subscription. And also do what? Like the video and share the video. Don't just watch alone, and it'll be good. But before I continue speaking much, because I can speak until tomorrow, I want to bring the other panelists on board so that they can say hi to us and welcome you to the show. I will begin with the man in the diaspora. Bernard, how are you?
The diaspora is doing well. I hope the other side is okay.
We are fine the other side. Let me hear from Jose. Jose, how are you? How do you do?
I'm good, and thank God for His grace. I hope we'll skummer this thing and people, fans, join us, subscribe, and tap.
Tap the screen. Thank you. Let me hear from the Waziri.
Not yet. Until they start recruiting this that's on the side. Said you're welcome to yet another episode of the weekly roundup. In the perspective this week, we dive into news that made the headlines throughout the week. My name is Douglas.
Thank you. I hope we are good and I hope we are doing good. I want to tell you that today mambo ni moto, mambo imejemuka. Today I want to bring up the discussion on higher note. Wacha tuanze na story ya rent kwanza. You have seen that watu wanafungiwa nyumba. I never knew like even a police station can be closed because of rent arrears. But today it was shocking and it was okay. It's somehow contradictive a little bit, but we'll check what it says towards that. But what I want to urge you to ask somebody, invite somebody to watch with. Don't just watch alone. A few number of people are watching, but the number is still low. It's still so low. Please invite somebody to watch and be part and parcel of this, because this is where we are and this is how we can do it and this is how we can analyze towards it. So I want to welcome you, invite somebody to watch with, and don't watch alone. Ukiwatch peke yako wewe ni mchoyo. Watu wachoyo Kenya hamtaona kwa Mungu. Mungu alishetani watawalamba kwa mgongo usiku mkilala. So invite somebody to watch and be part and parcel of this. So one of the stories that is heading up, or I'll be rolling down with first, is about the police station that was closed. I want to listen this carefully, and then we'll have the conversation towards that about the police station. Because last week we checked about the police station. The other week we checked about the police station where they were opening police station with people individually. Leo tena police station imekuja kwa forum, and the police station now sasa inafungwa kwa sababu ya kutokuwa na rent. So I want to get the contradictive. If last time there were somebody individual opened his police station and he decided to employ people and he managed the police station without even not having the rent arrears, why does the real government police station closed up because of rent arrears? That's also another tricky conversation. So I want to check this video out, and then you will tell me your views about this video.
Residents of Riandira, Mwea West constituency are a worried lot after the area police station was dramatically shut down and police officers manning the station relocated over a 2 million shillings rental arrears. According to the family of the property owner, who is now deceased, the rental space was donated by their late father. The family asked the National Police Service to start paying rent upon his demise in 2018, payment which was never honored by the police. But in a quick rejoinder, police spokesperson Michael Muturi says there was no such agreement.
Monday morning, a police truck pulls up at Riandira police station in Mwea, East Kirinyaga County to relocate police officers who were manning the station. Locals watched in disbelief, uncertain of their security. The eviction follows a rent dispute between the property owners and the tenant, the National Police Service. According to the property owners, trouble started in 2018 after the demise of their father, who had donated the property to the police. The family says it notified the police officers manning the station that they will commence collecting monthly rent going forward. The current arrears is estimated to be 2 million shillings. However, police spokesman, through a statement, indicated that the National Police Service did not see the need for continued stay of those officers at Riandira Police Post, so the officers were redeployed, and that there had been no formal arrangement for rent. There's a nearby police post which is serving residents well. But even as the standoff between the property owners and the National Police Service persists, residents are concerned about their safety.
Kama ni nyumba, kama kulivyo nyumba iko na kesi ya rent, wasaidiwe kulipa ndio tuweze kurudishiwa security kwa pande yetu.
Kila mtu kwa Kenya ako na haki yake. Mwenye nyumba ako na haki ya kulipwa kodi ya nyumba yake. Na hata polisi nao pia wale wanaofanya kazi pia nao wanatakiwa walipwe. Na sisi wenyeji na sisi tunatakiwa haki yetu ni security.
According to locals, the police station initially had 10 officers, but were later reduced to 6, who on Monday bid the station goodbye. This comes amid calls by the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, warning citizens against establishing police stations without following proper channels. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
That's it. And that's what's not happening, or that's what's happening. A police station closed up because of rent. I want to hear from the Waziri Mwea. Waziri wa Usalama.
What's the portfolio? Anyway, interesting developments there, but okay, so there are so many angles to that story. So number one, it was Mwea who donated his property to the police to set up a post. Then when he died, the kids decided to reduce the rent. But we've seen this. These things happen, even in the village. anakata kashamba, anapatia kanisa, that kind of thing. But if you really want longevity, then you have to make sure before you depart, umewatafutia title deed. Usipowatafutia title deed, maybe mzee akiniachia shamba akituachia shamba unashangaa, umetuachia shamba kidogo, you just give out land. Of course, not everybody has the grace to respect that, this was mzee's decision. Not everybody has that grace. Kuna watu watasema hameni and that kind of thing. So, but it's interesting to see citizens salute police force. But then again, if police station imewekwa kwa plot ya mtu, then they have to pay rent. It's not all government institutions. Even in town ukienda, you'll find ministries setting up offices in buildings in Upper Hill, and they pay rent. So it's not something that is abnormal. Yes, government can hire space in someone else's premises, but they have to pay rent. It doesn't mean that will be to pay rent. So, but anyway, I hope it was not an illegal post, but by virtue of that they had actual officers, they're now being pulled out. Then it was legitimate, and the owners of the premise decided that they want rent, and if rent is not coming in, that they need to be evicted. But the police saw that there's another post nearby, and they don't really need that post, so they decided to move their officers. But all in all, we just hope that the residents of that area are secured. Hope kuna usalama. Yeah, that's my take.
Okay, so hope kuna usalama. Dakika zimeacha kwamba huyu waziri mwenyewe amesema hope kuna usalama. Let's listen from Jose.
Yeah, the issue is, the agreement. The agreement between the late father and the residents around that place. There was kulikuwa kuna usalama. So the old man decided that the easier way, once they donate this piece of property, equip police force for insecurity, so that area can be, alikuwa na ile maono ya kuleta usalama pale, because there are some businesses going on, you see. But the moment he passed away, now it reaches a point where by now the kids wakaona hapana, hii ni serikali, and they must pay because the economy is bad. So I'm not against them, but I will support them due to the economy, the situation where we are right now, and these are governments occupying our space here. They should pay something, you see. And the question is, how comes walikawia sana mpaka accumulate to 2 million? You see, that means there was something wrong, because as we normally know, polisi ni watu kuchukua hongo pale na pale. Kwani zile pesa wana collect za hongo walikuwa wanashindwa kulipa rent?
So unasema sio majukumu yao, ni majukumu ya serikali.
The police in this country are gonna do bad behavior. They think they are above the law and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Because that's not their property. Ni property ya mtu. Yeah. And once, the ideology was that kama wangekuwa wameritishia mtu mwingine afungue maybe a wholesale hotel, ingekuwa inawaletea pesa, but hii ni kama kazi ya kanisa. And they decided now wacha tuwafurushe, because they are not doing what they agreed, you see. So, but let's hope that by eviction things will move on safely. The security will be much better because of that.
Okay, let's listen from Bernard.
I think that's, in my opinion, a joke of the government. Even if somebody donated land or a house for a police station, that donation is supposed to be formalized. You cannot continue just staying there. I mean, a police station is a government property. A government property in the sense that the security of the place and the security of the people must be within the grip of the government at hand. So how does a whole government enjoy occupying a property without a formal written agreement on what's going on, to an extent whereby now the family sanctions the eviction of a police station? This doesn't add up at all. Either somebody wanted to grab the place using the pretext that Mwea donated, because Mwea is no longer there to defend himself, and the allegations of donations are not subsidiated. Nobody is talking that tulikuwa kwa baraza ya wazee, huyu mzee akakubali kupeana hii na hii. We have not seen anything like that. It is just the word of those police officers against the word of the family. And so, to me, this doesn't look genuine in terms of how the whole police department handles such a situation. To me, my understanding is that security is priority, and the people offering security cannot be in a makeshift housing arrangement. It does not add up. So, uchunguzi ufanywe. Kanja aseme vizuri. Tangu lini akaanza kudonetiwa nyumba ya polisi, na kule kwa mfano watu wahalifu wakishikwa wanawekwa kwa hiyo nyumba. Wakiwekwa kwa hiyo nyumba, mwenye nyumba akona access kwa hiyo nyumba. Kama hana access, hiyo nyumba ni ya nani? Is it totally in the hands and the control of the police? If they don't have custody of the place, they don't have papers to prove that they own the place, can they enforce anything in the place? So this to me smells bad, looks bad, and it all rises and falls on the whole of the police leadership structure. From Kanja, the executive, and everything. That thing to me looks like a scam, or looks like, it looks like some underlying things. There are a lot of questions and answers. There is a lot of mystery surrounding that situation. And so I don't think a family is able to evict a police station. And if the police station was donated, there must be proof to the same. You can't sit pretty in the place as a police station. It's not an individual, it's not a friendly agreement. It cannot be a gentleman's agreement. Police is government. Government is police. We can't have that kind of arrangement at kuja mkayapa kwa jikoni yangu kidogo. I mean mkilinda usalama. It doesn't work that way. So mimi nataka majibu. Sio hiyo kitu wanatuambia ati sasa there is a nearby police station. Why were they occupying somebody's house until they discovered there's a nearby police station? Kanja na timu yake wako na majibu ya hii maswali. Wajitokeze wazi waseme walikuwa wanatafutia kuchukua nyumba ya huyo mzee kwa nini? Na mbona wanashindwa kulipa rent milioni 2? Kama tuna donate milioni 20 kwa kanisa kila wiki, ni milioni 2 tu itashinda kulipa watu rent, kama ni kweli wanataka ni rent inadaiwa. Mpaka you relocate 10 police officers to new places simply because you don't want to pay 2 million. Hii mchezo mwachane nayo tafadhali. This is a joke and a half.
Somebody saying he's agreeing with you. I want to ask a question before we go over the other story. If I can say that hawa sio wanalipa rent, vile mzaya alikuwa akakanyaga hiyo story, will I be lying? Pengine wacha tuseme tu kweli. Ni hivi we check at this corner that hawa sio wanalipa rent. Vile mzaya alijikanyaga, wasa kanyaga hiyo story. Can it be true?
Probably, but if there is no formal agreement, I don't think there was any such arrangement. Mzee could donate, it could be valid. But what I want to see is how long was the police station there? Okay. The rent being asked is for how long? You can't have a police station existing in a place 5 years, 3 years, and there is no formalization of any sort. The police station is not a church. It's not a church building. It's not a school. It's not a marketplace. It's a police station. Ni idara ya usalama wa nchi. Idara ya usalama wa nchi haifanywi kama soko. Haifanywi kama kanisa ama shule. Ni mambo ambayo lazima yalainike. Sasa kama wewe mko kwa makeshift land, makeshift house, and you don't have any agreement, any form of agreement, okay, wenye nyumba wavamie hiyo station usiku waseme tokeni, mtawazuia kivipi? Mtawaambia mzee ndio alituambia tukue hapa? So hiyo story it is not adding up, na kuna kitu ambacho kinaendelea hapa. I think we should be having some politics, or is just a scandal in the making. Kuna kitu kinaibuka. The police station is just the claim of a police station is just the symptom, but there is an underlying outbreak that is about to break forth from that particular story. There is more to it than meets the eye.
Mambo imechemuka, na azidi kuwakaribisha nyote njioni tuweze kudadavua na kuganua na kuchanganua kindani zaidi. Wala ambao unatutazama, tafadhali na wasiweza kukalika mtu usitazame peke yako, ili usiseme tu mwenye elimu likuwa si kukua. Na kama naweza jiunga na sisi studioni, basi link ipo kwa comment section. Bofya hiyo link, itakuleta studioni moja kwa moja, ili pia na wewe ukaweze kuwa sehemu ya hii mazungumzo. Tuambie maoni yako, niambie yale ambayo unahisi hapo ndani ya roho yako. Lipi wewe unahisi ni ukweli, ama lipi wewe unahisi kwamba hii ndio hiyo, sio hilo lingine? Tukiachana nayo, watu tuangalie masuala ya elimu na masuala ambayo yanazuru masuala ya elimu. Kumekuwa na mtafaruko mwingi kwa sekta ya elimu, na kwa hii sekta ya elimu mtafaruko umekuwa ukikuja pale ambapo unakuta hii kubadilisha toka kwa simu moja mfumo wa 844 kwenda mfumo wa CBC, ambapo imekuwa ikileta tashishi kidogo. Wacha tazame taarifa hii kisha tuweze kupata kuelewa zaidi nini inaendelea.
Continue with our series on the transition to senior school. Now remember, this pioneer CBC cohort is now in junior secondary school, and as they make the transition to senior secondary school in 2026, they will need to make their choices for the pathways that they would like to follow in life. That choice will be made in the second term of this school year. Bear in mind that this first term is basically over. Schools will close next week and are currently wrapping up their exams. So this is what lies ahead in the process. Placement of learners in grade 10 will be based on the following criteria. Learner's choice, which will be their subject combinations that they are already undertaking in junior school, and their school of choice. I'll explain the school of choice in a minute. Then there is also the matter of merit, which will be their academic performance in their grade 9 assessment. Now, the Presidential Working Party recommended that this assessment be 20% KIPSEA, that is the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, 20% school-based assessments done in grades 7 and 8, and then 60% of a summative evaluation in grade 9. Now, there's also psychometric tests that will be conducted to determine the learner's aptitude and interest, with the talent to be determined by both the school and the National Examination Council. Regional balancing will also be taken into account to ensure fair access for all learners. Finally, placement of the learners will also be determined by the capacity of the schools that they have chosen. Issues such as space and resources that are available in the schools chosen. Now, to help them make this all-important decision, the learners are supposed to go through some rigorous career guidance and counseling programs that are done together with their teachers and parents or guardians. Things such as career development workshops, leadership programs, and extracurricular activities. But that selection of schools will be based on the pathways that the learners wish to pursue and accommodation. So that is the type of schools that they would like to go to. In total, the learners will be selecting 12 schools, 7 schools for the first choice pathway, 3 for the second choice, and 2 for the third choice pathway. Out of these, 9 will be boarding schools, 4 of which will be from the learner's home county, with the remaining 5 schools based outside their county of residence. The other 3 will be day schools in their home county. Now, all the schools must have at least 2 pathways, and this is how they are categorized. Remember that we do not have pure or full, if you like, boarding schools anymore. So the senior schools are either day schools or hybrid, which offers both boarding and day schooling options. Some of those will then offer all 3 pathways, while others will offer 2 of the 3. Also remember to note that we have vocational schools that offer vocational education to those that follow the stage-based pathway. We talked about that last week. And then we've got the special needs schools that offer education to learners with hearing impairment, visual impairment, and physical impairment. And these schools are also important in terms of giving them lifelong skills that are required for this. Now, there's a lot of questions about how this will work, and the gaps continue to arise even as this process continues. And that is why on the program tonight, we want to speak to Dr. Emmanuel Manyasa, who's the Executive Director of Usawa Agenda, and he joins me now.
This is how things are doing, and this is how things are being analyzed up. Na ni hivyo mambo ya masomo imekuwa, because we have been having the changes in CBC, and the CBC has having defaults. Maana unakuta the time watoto wanaenda shule, unakuta wanasema hizi vitu zote zilikuwa zimeongelewa, but hakuna the real infrastructure for the student to begin learning. There's no place for the, unakuta mpaka wanafika wanasema ati hakuna darasa. So what is your opinion about that? Do you feel that this perspective or the things that the government are lining up according to the CBC syllabus, whereby they will be joining secondary school, will it work, or is just also the practical, or it will have the defaults like the way the other parts have been with the defaults? Let me begin with that class.
It's going to work eventually. You know, as with everything new, it's always going to be. You know, this past cohort it's an experimental group, so they're not going to have it really. There's going to be all these issues, but if there's goodwill and resources, if there's goodwill from all stakeholders, government, parents, teachers, everybody, and resources are channeled into making the curriculum a reality, it's going to work eventually. But initially, it's going to run into very many challenges like we are seeing now. So I don't want to be an overall critic and just say this thing is bad, because 844 had its own issues. I remember we were finishing Form 4 and we don't even know what we want to pursue. Like when I finished Form 4, you know, I passed very well, but I didn't know, like, I wasn't sure. I was only sure about one course that I wanted to pursue, but, you know, you don't always get it. So what else would you like to pursue? I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm talented in. I've just been forced to study everything, to study science, to study history, to study everything. As in, the problem with 844 is, you know, some people would put it was forcing a fish to climb a tree. And, you know, if the fish failed to climb a tree, then it was deemed foolish. Now, when the drafters of CBC, you know, tried to change that, so that, you know, from a very early age, when kids begin schooling, the curriculum, the education system tries to nurture that which is born in them, because I believe that kids aren't born as blank pages and we just write on them what we believe they have to be. I believe that every human being is born as a whole person, and for us as parents, as a society, as siblings and uncles, our job is just to nurture that which is in them, and that is ideally what the education system should also do, while imparting important knowledge, like science and all this stuff. But that is what CBC ideally should do. But we are a third world country, a struggling country. We don't have resources because this is a very expensive curriculum and that kind of thing. But it has its own faults. For instance, the other day, they want to, as in they're making mathematics optional, and kids can choose mathematics to at what level, grade 7. Mathematics is not just about finding X and Y. Mathematics actually shapes how you think. Mathematics, it jogs your brain, and it sharpens your thinking, and you're able to think critically when you're thinking about problems. Of course, most of us have not ended up in mathematical fields, but if we fail to do mathematics in school, then we will be dumber. But I saw a different school of thought on social media saying that those who want to control the society, they dampen the society, and by making mathematics optional and sciences, I think that's a very good strategy for doing that. Exactly, if that's the aim. It could be speculations, a conspiracy theory, but I don't know. But it makes absolute sense because colonization was written in the same way, and the reason that right now the country is very woke and we are looking at governance in ways that the political class couldn't imagine, it's because of our education system. Kenyans have been touted all over the world. Outside Kenya, I think we see what tunajidharau, lakini outside Kenya, professional Kenyans are highly regarded in fields such as construction, engineering, medicine. Kenyans are regarded as some of the most intelligent and well-read nationals on the African continent. I think we are top 10, if not top 5. So 844 is a good system, although it had its own challenges in the fact that it failed people. People are out here and they're not even sure yet. You find someone in their late 20s, but they aren't even sure yet what they want to do with their lives. But in the old education system, and I think Bernard will talk about that, people would go out of school and they had real skills like woodwork and electrician or electricals, those sort of things. They were creative. They would pick these skills from school, give them actual skills. But it was all about theory and that kind of thing. And when people leave school, they realize, okay, I've finished school, probably have a degree or a diploma, but now I have to actually start learning real skills to be able to master a real craft and be able to make something out of my life. So CBC was about changing that and equipping people with actual skills, nurturing what is actually inherent in them, but then again, it needs goodwill from the people. And my last, before I just pass on the mic, one thing I would love to commend Ruto, even though we criticize him all the time, one thing I would love to commend him for is on the campaign trail, he promised because he used that as a campaign tool. He would promise parents that, because parents were complaining, mtoto anaenda shule anaitishwa kuku, so unashangaa ina class ya 40 kids kila mtoto akikuja na kuku, then hizo kuku zinaenda happy after that kind of talk that was there. Parents were complaining it's too expensive, it's too cumbersome. You have to be there in the evening with your kids, helping them with their projects. with their projects and that kind of stuff. So you're telling them, Nicky, here, I'm going to scrap that thing, but I will have to commend you for not scrapping it. Because government it should have continuity. So if every administration that comes, it scraps, it removes the previous projects. For instance, education is very critical because you are dealing with people who cannot adapt as easily as to change as we can. They are very, kids are very, for lack of a better word, fragile. So you cannot just, you see, when people have kids, if they were people who are moving around, they have to have permanence because kids need that sort of predictability in the environment. So I would just love to commend him for that, and let's find a way to make it work. We need goodwill, resources, and that kind of thing. So that's my take.
Okay, before I come back to Jose, I want to listen to Bernard, and then I'll come back to Jose. Bernard.
Thank you. Yes, I can get you. Thank you. And you need to do something about your audio. It's not coming out here as clean as it should. Either you work on the mic. But on the issue of education, it is disappointing that the government is not putting in consideration the proper factors that inform the kind of education system as well as going about it. The main purpose of education is proper development. Proper development of the students, the people who are going through the education system. The education is never meant to make easy, or rather make simplify it in such a way that it becomes too easy, and in the process, instead of it developing and enhancing the growth and the betterment of the people going through the education system, it just now become a formality whereby you have gone through this class, you are now in this grade, and then the next grade, and then the next grade, then you graduate with this and that. In my opinion, we went wrong with the education in this country. From the word go, in the sense that when we changed from the previous system to 844, and now when 844 had some hitches here and there, instead of correcting those hitches, we decided to do away with it and bring now CBC. CBC has its own troubles, and now we are, coming up with strange decisions that we will now let the children in the 9th grade to decide their career path. 9th grade. I don't think that is viable. These people are yet to discover who they are, let alone their career and their future and what they will become. So I'm looking at this thing as a disaster in the making, and it is all an experiment that is too costly, because these children we are playing with are going to end up being confused. They're going to end up being unproductive to the society, simply because when they were in their development stage, somebody did not take his job serious and ensure that they are given the proper education that would make them useful members of the society. I look at this as a time bomb that will eventually spill on the street, because we may end up with people who are meant to be this becoming something else and getting frustrated in the process, and the productivity of them and their contribution towards the development of the country will not be that viable. And so I see this as a joke, one, because the people handling it are not demonstrating the sense of responsibility that is required. I said education is first and foremost for the development of the people going through the education. And secondly, education has also to envision the future of the country. So we invest in education because we want to have a bright future whereby the people who are going through our education system are going to be dependable, they are going to be reliable, they are going to be people that will be able to take on the leadership of the country and the leadership of different sectors in the country. And so when we roll out an education system, we must be envisioning that in 10 years' time, we should be having this number of engineers, we should be having this number of doctors, we should be having this number of nurses, this number of carpenters. And so when we roll out that education, it's not just a system for people being held in school 8 hours and being lectured and then they graduate. It has everything to do with how do we want to see the country in 20 years from now? How do we want to see the country in 50 years from now? And so the approach that I'm seeing and the kind of policies that are being rolled out, I don't see them demonstrating that. It looks like even education is now a burden to the government. It's a huge burden to the government that given an opportunity, they will want to drop it and do something else. And that is very saddening and very, very, disturbing, because if we are not thorough about the kind of engineers we are producing, the kind of doctors we are producing, the kind of teachers we are producing, and then there is no future to go to. There is nobody who will rely on to be able to handle the complexity of the future challenges that will emerge. And that's the number 3 aspect of the purpose of education, is to be able to equip people for the future challenges that are yet to come, so that by the time those challenges arise, these people will be fully equipped to combat and fight them, like new diseases, new challenges with agriculture, new challenges with food production, new challenges with soil degradation and all that. So what I see here is just a colonial kind of system, whereby let's keep these children in school, because if they stay out of school, the idle mind is devil's workshop, and those flimsy excuses. To me, as a country, we need to have a sitting and come up with a homegrown education system that addresses each and every aspect of our country and in its relation with other nations and the future. What we have ni viraka. Okay, tulipata 844 iko na kiraka, badala tushone hiyo kiraka tukatupa hiyo trouser. Okay, sasa tena tumeingia na CBC. CBC pia imeanza kuvuja. Badala turekebishe na tuhakikishe kwamba tuko na system nzuri ambayo itasaidia wanafunzi na inji, tumeanza tena kuifanyia nini? Ukarabati. 844 walisema ati iko na masomo mingi, the children are being overburdened, they have got so many books, and we want to ease it for them. So they began to drop subject after the other. I sat for 16 papers in Form 4. People are having Form 4 certificate today, they sat for 5 papers. So how does that certificate become the same? 16 papers, you did 5 papers. We are not the same. Our level of understanding is not the same. My mind is stretched. I did wild history in standard 5. They are doing wild history in the university. It's a mess. And all of it is in the pretext of making it easy for the student. The student is supposed to be made to learn, not to make easy for them. A road of least resistance hardly leads to success. The more we babysit these people and make education easy for them, the worse the future looks, because they will not be able to combat the future challenges that will be more complex, will be more demanding, and will be more requiring. So this aspect of mathematics is hard. Let me drop it. agriculture is complicated. Let me go for home science. Home science is too smoky. Let me now go for woodwork and all that. We will experiment with these children, will end up destroying their future, and we will have ourselves to blame because they are not going anywhere. They will be here to curse us and our graves for doing nothing but destroying them. So to me, what I'm seeing here is too immature, irresponsible, and to make matters worse, that the government is the one pushing that. I don't see anything good coming out of this, unfortunately. Thank you.
Okay, this is Bernard. Let us listen to Jose.
I'll agree with Bernard, huh? Because we find that the CBC it does some that what you call the ish things. Yeah. Actually, I find it very funny because there's a lot of here and there. They want mostly the parents who have kids going to school in this system. It's a lot. It's expensive. It's expensive, not like in our days. And in our days, I can remember very well when I joined nursery during my days in Mauritania. And the moment I joined Mauritania Primary School, Standard 1, from nursery, I used to walk like 14, 13 kilometers. Asubuhi, lunch, na jioni. Yeah. And we were so many because the people who know Mauritania very well, yeah, they can estimate from, we used to live at an estate called KDA, just after Kenya Pipeline Estate in Mauritania, near vehicle inspection. Now you can calculate from KDA Estate to Mauritania Primary the distance. And tulikuwa wadogo sana, we was like a group of tunajipata tuko a group of like 20, 15. Asubuhi sana tuko pamoja, we just walk up to school na tulikuwa tuchelewi. And then lunchtime unatoka tena shuleni unakuja nyumbani, but unapata nao kwa nyumba lunch ijapikwa. Sasa wewe ndio huyo tena kuacha jiko, yeah, you cook, ndio tena urudi shuleni. And then that's what makes us to be strong up to date, because physically you are fit. You see, it makes your mind work, yeah. And then during that time, kulikuwa na hii maziwa ya Nyayo. You see, it makes you even to have that courage ya kuenda shuleni. And yes, there are some each there in the 844 system, because you find that you do a lot of things, and then at times unapata uko occupied so much to things which are not, they are not going to help you in life. Like me, I did woodwork, but the life I'm right now, whatever I'm doing, it's not connecting with the woodwork. Yeah, it's so funny because we don't understand. I don't understand the system of Ruto. Instead, like the way Oga Bernard has said, instead of rectifying the 844 system so that it can work properly, he came up and forced the issues of CBC. Now it complicates so many things, and here and there, yeah, and the way below Chumeko. But initially, I think this thing, okay, the bottom line is they want for a better education for our kids. Yes, but that will take time for now, because for things to adjust to a proper way, the way they wanted, it will take time. Yeah, it will take time. That's why you can see there's a lot of confusion here and there. But on my own observation, to get stick to na 844 system, tuipambe kidogo.
Okay, Asha, this was before we need there's an angle I was just trying to bring in, but I feel like we've lost it. And okay, the reason CBC, CBC in full means competency based curriculum. 844 lacked that competency. It was about telling you what has been discovered, what is out there, what happened in history. It was about just imparting you with knowledge and that kind of stuff. But competency, it's about discovering who are you. It's about getting that God-given potential inside of you and putting it out there from a very young age. So that, by the time someone is 17 or 18, have you ever heard in America, Jose, unasikianga someone finish amemaliza PhD at age 21?
They got a master's.
Yes, I don't think that happens in Kenya. Unasikia someone is doing their degree at age 12. It's because they've found what what is meant for them at a very young age. So they begin cultivating that at a very young age. So they discover that I'm gifted in mathematics at 6 years, very early. So by the time they are 11, the normal the normal school system doesn't fit them because they are way beyond it. So they begin taking classes in college, and by the time they are 15, it's a very normal thing in developed countries because they nurture that which is inborn in kids. And I think that is what the competency-based curriculum was meant to do. And I don't think, I want to see it from both ways, but I don't think it was possible to tweak 844 to bring that on board. Because 844, when it was being developed, it was not about competency. It's something else. But to focus on competency, like it needs like a total shift, and that is what I was saying. When Ruto was on the campaign trail, he would hear parents complaining that this thing is too expensive and it's too cumbersome. We take kids to school and so that tunaweza enda tutafute. Then unakuja nyumbani unampata na project anataka mfanye naye. So Ruto decided to use that as for campaigning purposes. Nitatoa hiyo kitu because it was a pain point. But I think when he settled in, he saw a reason and he decided that no. And the reason I'm defending it it's because I've taught as an untrained teacher in primary school. It was in 2019. Yes, 2019. By then, the rollout basis was in grade 4 or 5. I'm not sure, but it has been rolling right now. I think imefika grade 8 or 9. I'm not sure, but by that time it was in grade 4 or 5. So I can see what it's trying to do. I can see the good behind it, and that's why I'm saying let's just give it time. The initial cohort, maybe the first like 8 years, they will be experimental as the first people who experimented with the 844 were. But if there's goodwill from the government and all stakeholders, that is teachers, school owners, all shareholders, parents, everybody, if there's goodwill and we just focus on the learner and not what parents want, not what teachers want, not what government want, just focus on the learner, because at the end of the day, it's about the learner. If you can just focus on that and pour resources, we need to pour resources into the education sector. The other day I saw that government has slashed the education budget, and when you see such headlines, it makes you cringe a little bit. For it to work, we need like a lot of resources to go into it, because it's an expensive program that we cannot overlook.
Okay, that was a point clear. Okay,
No, just before you drop that, Douglas, I see where you're coming from, but you missed my point. I said the first and foremost purpose of education is to enhance development. It's not to look for talent and capability. These kids are supposed to be developed in such a way that they will reach a place where they will discover what they want, not for the teacher to discover for them. This self-discovery and self-awareness is something you need to do for yourself, not by somebody telling you you are weak in Swahili, now go for English. You are weak in English, go for agriculture. It's the same thing you are running away from that the teacher told you. What is missing in all this scenario is the aspect of us losing our future by compromising the quality of education we are giving to our children. In fact, we have reached a place where we are afraid of our children to an extent that now the children are the one leading the parents and the teachers on what should be done and what should not be done. And that's the beginning of the fall of the entirety of the society. Education that is not developing a whole person, body, soul, and spirit, it is taking nobody anywhere. Education was never meant to look for talent and look for capability. It's supposed to develop a whole person, their critical thinking, their aspect of analyzing situations, being able to respond to life issues promptly and rightly. So it's not just one-sided. When, for example, now we're like the whole essence, if you listen to Professor Magoha, the whole essence of changing from 844 to CBC is that there was a deficit of plumbers, a deficit of masons in the country. The skilled laborers were missing, and the education system was not giving them. So they resorted to switch the education system so that they can get more plumbers and more masons and all that. To me, that's a mess that we got ourselves into by reason of not envisioning the future. And we didn't need a change of an education system in order for us to do what? To get this addressed. We would have just, like Mwea introduced, polytechnics. What were the purpose of the polytechnics? Was part of assimilating the people who don't make it to high school. They go to the polytechnic, and the polytechnic, when they are revamped, they'll be producing these skilled laborers who are going to keep the country functioning, and we will not have a deficit of people to work. But if we mess up the whole education system because we are looking for plumbers, we are looking for masons and things like that, it clearly shows that we are a people that are reactive, not proactive. We are people that are afterthought. We don't have a focus that in 2030, the population will be this, we'll need this amount of food, we'll need this amount of schools, we'll need this amount of hospitals. We are always reacting and responding to things that we could have solved long time ago before they began to happen. We shouldn't be now debating on now, like for example, this CBC children have been going grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Now they're in grade 8. Then suddenly we wake up and say, oh, there are no classrooms for grade 9. Where are the children going to go for grade 9? When to go to Melala? What were we doing all this time? And especially the education stakeholders, they have just been dropped from somewhere else into this country, and they realize there is a new education system. So what I see here in the pretext of trying to, like what you're saying, forcing the fish to climb the tree, there is no need of forcing the fish to climb the tree, but the fish need to develop into the fish, okay? It cannot just be, avoid, okay, to grow because it is being taxed to grow. There are things we learned that were not necessarily part of our career, were not necessarily part of our field, but they contributed to the development and our assessment of judging things from other things. So comparing a student by a fish climbing a tree and things like that, to me, they are limited to some degree. In my understanding, let the children be developed, handled by capable hands, where they come to a place where they will decide the career. Like the former system, it was 7, 3, 2, I think 4, 7, 3, 2, and then university, I think, was also 3. And so you'll see now mtu ameenda from the whole primary education system, amefanya class 7, then he goes to secondary for 3 years. Then by the time he goes to Form 5, that's where he's now deciding the career at Form 5, Form 6. That a mature person, he has gone through much. He's now able to tell which field he's specializing in. But now unataka mtoto ako class 8, okay, anaenda Form 1, akwambia anataka kuwa engineer. Akifika Form 2, engineer imleme, utamrudisha Form 1 ndio achakue sasa home science. This experiment is just messy. To me, inji kwa mahali pabaya sana. And I also want to say it's not a Ruto problem. It is a whole national problem by failure for them to forecast and be able to raise a population that can respond to issues ahead of time. Our founding fathers talked about sickness, ignorance, and hunger in 1963. All those 3 devils are still with us today. Why? When they got into office, they forgot that sickness, they forgot that hunger, they forgot about that ignorance, and they began to eat and loot. And that looting has been going on. And we still now want to loot the future of our children by using them as specimen. Tuweka hao kwa class tuone vile watakuwa. Kama wataingia tutabadilisha. We are destroying the future by destroying the future of our children, exposing them to a system of education that does not develop them. It only entertains them. Now, look at what's going on in classes. Mara, this session ni market. Watoto wafanye beba. Bei ya leo. Then we switch from there. We go to something else. Come on. We deserve better than that. Thank you.
I think we'll hear you and we'll heard from you. Douglas, you heard the question?
No, I think I should just let it go.
Okay. I see me inside the building. Thank you, David, for joining up. We are going on quickly. We remember that few parts that we have not discussed, but I want to bring up. I want to wrap up the game a little bit. Let's check out the show. Let's get into now the politics about the day, the week, or the movement of the week. And I will play couples of video, and then we will combine it together as we are giving our submission. One of the things is there's people from Busia County saying that like when who is giving all the seat, he haven't given anybody from that side, and yet they were Pamba supporters. The way that was, there's another show that you say that it's the regime of whereby we appreciate somebody because he has been there, he campaigned for us, he was there for us. So that's the trick. Also, is eating our Kenyans. We have seen these the people complaining that how are they we campaigned for Baba. Vile Baba ameingia serikali, bwana asichukue mtu pia naye afanye nini? Pamoja kwa zile. Hapo ndio we have seen the shuffles. It's like tunaandika tukifuta. Unafanya kazi gani ya kuachia watu nikifuta? So tumeamua like from the few last like not just last month. Tunaandika tukifuta. Na kwa ajili kipata mshahara ni speed na kutosha. We get the almost incompetent. We bring another person. So okay, let me play out a couple of videos and then get clear picture and understand the analysis or the point that I'm facing out. And then we'll be beginning up with the after the videos I'll be bringing up the me.
William Ruto is now sacked CS Justin Muturi. Deepened further when the head of state described his former CS as an incompetent public servant. Dr. Ruto says Muturi's incompetence as Attorney General had delayed the creation of a Muslim endowment fund. And as Brenda Wanga tells us in the following report, Muturi fired back at his former boss, clarifying that the Waqf Act did not have provisions for an endowment fund.
I had a problem with the AG who was there. He was fairly incompetent, but I now have a very competent lady.
President William Ruto, speaking at a Muslim faithful's iftar dinner at State House, berated Justin Muturi as an Attorney General, blaming him for the delay in setting the Muslim Endowment Fund, Waqf, that had been proposed by Muslim leaders. Muturi's response came first through his X page. He points out that the Waqf Act of 2022 has no provision for a Muslim endowment fund. Muturi further explains that a Waqf is a religious, charitable or benevolent endowment by a person who professes Muslim faith and is managed by the Waqf Commission. The Waqf Act came into force in March of 2022 but is yet to become operational. Muturi maintains that he followed the proper procedure in his attempt to operationalize that act through a series of events. In July 2023, through a Gazette notice, Muturi appointed the Waqf Commissioner's selection panel and subsequently wrote to the National Treasury and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission seeking a budget for the panel. 9 months later, in April 2024, the selection panel held its first meeting and was sworn into office a month later. On the 11th of June, Muturi advertised for candidates for the position of members of the Waqf Commission. The process of shortlisting the candidates commenced after the deadline of submitting applications.
Today, decided to dismiss with immediate effect all the cabinet secretaries and Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, of the Cabinet of Kenya.
Muturi says the sacking of the cabinet halted this process, which he claims has not moved since he left that docket. The Waqf tiff between the president and his now former CS, however, is a continuation of the divergent paths that the head of state and his subordinate have been working for the past few months. The fallout between Ruto and Muturi was born of the abductions and forced disappearances that followed the anti-government protest last year. Muturi's son was one of those abducted by what he termed as state operatives.
I'm calling upon you now to order an end to these abductions, which you promised, killings, extrajudicial killings, and an open inquiry to examine, inquire into how these things have been happening. We cannot make it normal.
Muturi has openly called out the president on what he termed as government's complicity in the abductions that have often ended in deaths and maiming of young Kenyans.
Resignation for me would be an act of cowardice.
Yeah.
People wonder, what kind of person is this one who sees a problem, doesn't speak about it, and merely walks away? It will look very cowardly on my part.
Wednesday's government reorganization has effectively taken that option away from him as he becomes the latest victim of the anti-establishment purge by the executive. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
The redeployment of senior officials who have been
chache tu baada ya Rais William Ruto kuwateua makatibu wapya kuhudumu kwenye nyadhifa mbalimbali serikalini, wafuasi wa chama cha ODM katika kaunti ya Busia wamejitokeza kulalamikia kuachwa nje kwenye uteuzi huo. Wafuasi hao wamemshtumu kinara wao Raila Odinga kwa kuwapuuza licha ya kaunti ya Busia kuongoza kwenye usajili wa wanachama wa chama cha ODM humu nchini. Wakizungumza mjini Busia, wafuasi hao wamesema hawana cha kujivunia kwenye serikali ya sasa. Aidha, wamewashtumu wabunge wao kwa kusalia kimya licha ya kaunti hiyo kuachwa nje kwenye serikali hiyo jumuishi.
Sisi kama watu wa ODM tunaomba baba Raila Amolo Odinga, tafadhali consider mambo ya Busia, because 99% of voters wa Busia tunakufa na chama chako na wewe mwenyewe.
Tuna demand kama wakaaji wa Busia, kuanzia Teso North, Teso South, Matayos, Budalangi, Samia, Butula na Mbale. Tunataka mkate wetu kama wana ODM.
Hakuna venye PSS wanachaguliwa ati broad based government imetengwa na Busia yenyewe hakuna. Babu wetu mmoja hata kama akona nyoka kwa mfuko na atoi ni wetu. Tunampenda. Afadhali umpe sisi tujue ni mmoja tumepewa, lakini maneno ya kutusahau hapana.
Wazazi na jamii katika eneo la Kakuyuni huko Malindi County.
Ndio hiyo sasa wanasema kwamba tumesaulika. Yet you see Ruto saying that I fired them because they were incompetent. Or select some of the things. Okay, let me first listen from Domi. Domi, how are you?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine too. Can we want to hear from you?
Okay, hamjambo wote, Shadizo, Bernard, na hawa wawili wengine, I think majina yao sijaona. Okay, first of all, I'll start with the education before I go to the videos that you have shown us. I think probably kwa ajili ni mzee, probably sisi wazee tutafikiria tofauti na nyinyi wengine vijana. I think I have a lot to share with the Reverend Bernard on the issue of education. The issue there is something very fundamental that he touched about. Especially this one is especially the young learners. That is, we are talking of primary school. If I can remember, there's a time wakati people felt that 844 has failed. The first call was, let us go back to the old system, whereby students would get a better education, would have enough time in school so that to mature. Before they go to university, they have gotten a lot of information down here. You see, I would not dismiss the CBC 100%. Because they are talking of curriculum, I mean the competence based. We would like to talk about the competence. We would like to enhance the competence of children. But I want to imagine a child of grade 4 or grade 6. You know, at this point, let us be realistic. At this point, this person, very few. It is only probably 10% or 15 who can lay hold or who can point out exactly what they know. I mean, what they want to do in life. Very few people know at that point. Like recently, I was talking. I was challenging my daughters. Mimi nilifanya geography. I think one of them hakufanya geography. No, both of them hakufanya geography. And you know, as much as probably people dismiss geography, at this point, as I'm talking, I hardly get lost. Because of the geography that is in my head. It is very easy for me sometimes to locate the history, even if I'm not very good in history. I was not very good in history anyway. But at least I can point out one or two things in history. I can talk of, okay, I can connect some things. You cannot deceive me very easily. than those people talking about saying that we are dismissing some of the courses, some of these subjects just because okay, it will not help me in future. I think that's a simplistic way of thinking. I would say CBC to me would probably best start in something like standard 6 and above. To me, that would have been better. And I think it was better if we had longer. These students would have a longer time in secondary school. In secondary is when now this person is a teenager. He needs to get longer time in secondary to gather in his mind than hurrying to take this person to college, who goes there very raw. Like now, if somebody is talking of mathematics is optional, I think that's the most stupid thing that has ever been thought of. Mathematics should not be optional. Mathematics should not be optional. English, Kiswahili should not be optional. Let me tell you something let me talk about language. Language is almost everything. You cannot take, like, okay, I'll give you an example of where I've worked with people from different nations. I'll give you an example of a place like India. I worked with Indians who originally came from India. They have a very big problem in communicating in English. Okay, let me say they have a very big problem in communicating with other places, just because they didn't put English as a very important subject to them. In fact, some of them will tell you, I wish I would have just taken, okay, English is an optional subject in India. So they will tell you, I wish I would have taken English as a subject. It would have helped me. There are some things that you can't just do away with them. My friend, mathematics is core, is everything in life. You cannot make it optional. And you can, it's everywhere. We cannot, there are some things that I think, as Bernard said, you want comfort of that child. You are not helping that person. In fact, I will tell you that a student, especially of primary, should be, they say you expand under pressure. The more pressure, the more you are able to accumulate in your mind, in your head. You expand your ability when you are in primary. It is expanding fast your ability to grasp. Expand fast the ability to handle difficult things at that age, so that when you leave that place, even if it may not help you, even if some subjects may not help you directly, they enable you to understand, to fit in the society. I'll tell you this. Chukua our daughter after like the next 10 years. I can tell you there is a day huyo mtoto ukimweka pamoja na mwenye alisoma this other system, you will see there is a very big difference. Yes, okay, probably we can say probably that person has focused on like one field and is vast in that field. Probably anataka kuwa fundi, amekuwa fundi kabisa. But there are some things that are general life that will give him a very hard time to cope. It will give him a very hard time to cope because they were taken very lightly. So to me, CBC would have started probably in standard 6. And from there, somebody at least has an understanding of, okay, mechanic anakaa aje, what does it contain, which subjects to go to that seat. Mwingine anasema daktari nayo unataka ufanye nini na nini. At least somebody is grown up to understand what he wants to go in. Otherwise, at the age of standard 5, I mean at the age of standard grade 1, huyu mtoto utamwambia ni nini? Okay, even if you are going to see the grades of wherever he is now at that point, you may not exactly know the future of that person. Probably amepass hizo ameweza hizo vitu kitu moja mbili yenye unaona kama hiyo ndio ameshikilia, but may not necessarily be the best for him. Wakati ataenda huko mbele, then he realizes, no, this is not my thing. Now, unfortunately, that person is not flexible anymore. He's already in some field that he does not fit. Mtoto anafika mbele, then he realizes, hapana, I cannot be a doctor. Akiangalia mtu damu inamwagika hivi, anasema siezi. Now this person is already you have fixed him there. He goes anakuwa na stress yote because he cannot be what he started. I think that's very simplistic. I think ni kitu yenye people would have taken more time to think about it. I think the problem also is it was more or less a copy paste. Vile tunaona, okay, China watoto wanaamka, watoto wadogo wanatengeneza masaa, so our children should also now si tungekuwa tunatengeneza masaa. How vitu zingine zenye watoto wanafanya bwana, they are crazy. You wonder now which education is this? I think to me, and unfortunately now, okay, somebody will tell you that we are going to take 8 years then to stabilize. Now, how watoto this 8 years, how watoto wenye wamepita hizi 8 years, utawafanya aje? You have wasted those kids. That is why it's better when you're doing some changes, do them gradually. At least tumia ile system yenye uko nayo, wakati unaendelea kubadilisha kitu kidogo. There's a day Sosioni was complaining. He's saying teachers are complaining they don't understand this system. They need better training. But the government insisted that's where we are going. And now we don't have the facilities for what we are doing. And I don't see the facilities being bought within within 5 years. Bado tutakuwa na hizo facilities that would make CBC as a big success. Bado. Sasa hawa watoto tutawafanya aje? Remember, it's somebody's child. Yeah? And more so, and I see, naona at your age, you guys at your age, probably watoto wenu ndio wako huko. Imagine hawa watoto wako ndio wanapitisha that. They are being given an education that is not very good, that is giving them, and they are being used as a guinea pig ya kubahatisha. Really? I think there's something we need to discuss about that. Hiyo sio kitu ya kunyamazia. Kindly, guys, you need to rise up and make our voices heard about the politics of today. I'm seeing some meongea about Muturi kufutwa, and somebody, okay, I don't see much about the failure of Muturi other than just retaliating kwa sababu he complained, he alianika mkubwa wake. So far, okay, he may not have done 100% in his job, but I don't think he failed. Because I think, according to me, the current AG is worse. Is worse than Muturi. I don't see. So far, let me say, a very good percentage of the AGs that we have been having, most of them wamekuwa tu wa nini passengers. I think Amos Wako was there and he was very smart, but he was majorly doing things conveniently to help the government do its mischief. Kwa sababu alikuwa anajua sheria, but his knowing of the law was geared towards manipulating it to suit the sitting government. But at least probably it was at least he could point out, he could advise the president to do some things, to do the right things according to some law, at least somehow. But hao wenye wako, I don't think they are performing. Sasa unataka sasa anatuambia about the failure of Muturi. Hao wengine wameperform. I'm wondering if there is I'm wondering if there is any CS who is performing. Mwenye tunaweza point out huyu ana perform. Kindiki failed kunini. Oh, okay, probably alijaribu lakini alishindwa na majambazi wa nini. Sasa huyu mwenye yuko na Murkomen is now, hata sasa unashangaa ni kitu gani anafanya kwa ofisi. Watu wanaendelea kuuana kila siku. That's to me is total noise. Kelele kabisa. And about okay, ndio hawa watu wanini wanalalamika. I saw some clip somewhere about what made me, I think my suspicion was confirmed yesterday. I think it was yesterday or whatever. I saw some nini ya Oburu akiongea, anaambia watu, sasa nyinyi kwanza, nyinyi watu wa Mlima tuliwasaidia. Raila aliwasaidia wakati alikuwa na hakuitisha nini. I don't know if you have gotten that clip. Aliwasaidia kutuliza government for your person, na wakati tulikuja kuitisha kura mkatunyima. Na ule mtu mwenye mliweka mbaya, sasa mnataka Raila tena atoke huko, mwenye mlikataa mnataka atoke huko tena akuje kuwasaidia kutoa. Ai, bana. I was like, okay. So it's more or less of a retaliation. So I think to me what Raila is doing by joining the government is just fighting it back. Ni kama kuambia nini wa Kenya especially from the mountain that sasa nyinyi ndio mlituweka kwa hiyo shimo, bebanini na mzigo wenu. I think that's what he's doing now. So ni kama kuambia bwana sasa. And also, okay, I may not agree with what he was doing, but let me also ask a question. Raila alisimama mkakataa asipite. Wakati ameenda AU pia mkamuombea huyo mtu, Mungu saidia anguke, praying that God help that person to fail, anguke kabisa. So ameanguka. Alafu mnamuita sasa nao that tumekuja tusaidie kupigana hapa. Hey, what? Does it really sound? Yani sisi is it? Are we for real? Mtu umeombea anguka alafu mnataka awasaidie. Okay, imagine now where God is seated. He saw you praying that this person should fail. And now huyo mtu ndio mnataka, then you are telling God, tell that person akuja atusaidie kupigana. Really? Mungu pia naye ataka waulize, are you for real? Then that same person ndio mnaita is selfish. Now if Raila is selfish, what about Kenyans? Are we not worse selfish? Okay, that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Domi. I think I've heard from Domi a lot, and the time is so much. But briefly, I'll just give at least the other people at least, if it's 3 minutes, let us go to what's the comparison of the two stories as you're winding up. Let me begin with you.
To me, I think I don't see anything wrong with whatever Raila is doing, because reason number one, it is his own opinion, as in personally for himself, because he has been there for so long fighting, and then you see this thing of him joining Ruto. It reaches a point aliona hapana, hao watu wamenisukuma sana, so nikienda upande yao wananipiga vita, nikikuja huku bado wacha ni join na serikali. But the problem is he didn't follow the procedure, because when you watched yesterday's news, when Raila Karua, there's something she was saying that there's a place he didn't follow the law, because he's supposed to come out of the Azimio thing, so that equal to the ODM joining the government. But for him, always baba atakuwa tu baba. Yeah. And for Muturi, it was expected because the way he has been pushing this thing of anti-government by abduction, so many other things. Muturi is a heavyweight. He's a heavyweight to those regions, that part of Meru, Mbere, Nini. So I think Nani was pushed too much to the wall. Ruto akaona hapa, wacha I release this guy. But the way he's using this thing, Ruto is playing politics, and this politics is going to it will mess up with him in the coming years, because how come the Gen Z were demonstrating kufuta wale watu walikuwa they are not incompetent, but anarudisha the same people to the government, because anatubeba in short akasema anatubeba ujinga. Anatubeba ujinga, and then the person who's supposed now to help us by telling him you are doing the wrong thing, you should do this, pia unapata pia anamsupport whatever he's doing. Now we are more confused, we don't know where we're heading in terms of politics. And then it's ni burden, just mizigo tu inazidi kuninio. But I think Mungu iko na sisi, one day we shall overcome everything or whatever it's happening right now in this country. And for Muturi, he needs now to pull up his socks and face forward on the future for his campaigning or for his political career. He has been. I don't see anything wrong with the Muturi. Muturi, since he was the national speaker during the Uhuru Kenyatta, and Ruto appointed him to be the AG, and then Akama appoints to be the CS, and then later on, the last minute, Anambe is incompetent. But sometimes you just wonder, this our president Ruto, alimchukua akamweka kwa hiyo kiti, tena anakuja anasema this atoshi mboga. It's funny. It's really sad. It's really sad. My fellows, they can add on something on that.
Okay, let's listen to Douglas. The story has really digressed. I lost the topic of discussion, but where do we begin? Let me begin with Ruto dropping Muturi. I think Muturi is one of the reasonable fellas in politics that I can think of, which are very few. And I think them disagreeing, I don't know why his son was abducted, because there has to be a reason. There has to be a genesis. There has to be a preceding event to his son being abducted. But I think they must have disagreed with Ruto on principle. That I think it has to be that, because Muturi is one of, I don't know what his career as Speaker of Parliament was like. I don't know what he was as a general, honestly, not that into that. But I know him as a very reasonable man, principle. So if they disagreed with Ruto, it has to be on the basis of that. Because people that have that demeanor of being principled, they will always clash. with guys like Ruto, people who are used to bending people to their will and bending the law and morality to the kind of angle they want. They'll always disagree on that. But an issue I had with him is, why wouldn't he resign? I mean, if you disagree with the cabinet, then just tell people that, yes, I was appointed to this and I respected the job. I know it cannot to serve and serve you people, but I disagree with the government of the day, and I just cannot continue to work. That would be more honorable thing. But him sticking around and pushing and fighting, I think he wanted to be sacked. Him getting sacked by Ruto politically is ammunition for him, because it's going to give him that perfect victim story that it's going to fuel him politically. It's a very good tool politically. We've seen it. Many leaders use it. It's what Gachagua used to stay relevant in politics. Is what Raila has been using all along. Even Trump himself, after he was shot on the campaign trail, that really raised his numbers. So the victim story is what actually got Ruto into State House. The victim story is a very good tool, and I think that is what he was targeting by just sticking around and waiting to be fired. But that is so bold of Ruto, and I commend him for that. That is what a leader should technically do. I mean, you dare me, and that's it. But on the issue of firing, rehiring, it's like I think we had this conversation with you and the guys who were on the show, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, and Tuesday, that was on Tuesday, and it's like taking money out of the left pocket and putting it in the right pocket, and in the process you lose money. Why would you tell us it's incompetent? So now he's told us that Muturi was incompetent. Probably he's going to rehire him again and create an office for him. But I saw some women there complaining that we gave Raila votes and he's not included us in government. That kind of politics, to politics, I don't know, and cultic following of a certain figure is retrogressive and is what is keeping Kenya where we are. We cannot continue to push for change and progress of Kenya and still subscribe to that kind of politics. It's retrogressive and it's detrimental to our society, to our democracy, and to our economic well-being. So last year was about changing that narrative, changing the conversation around politics, shifting them from personalities to issue-based kind of politics. And just seeing people still stuck there, I think I don't see hope up mbele. We are still going to be stuck there. The system is still going to be lying to us over and over. And finally, on the issue of Mother Karua, I think Mother Karua is a senior lawyer. She has served, I think, all the way to East African Court of Justice. I'm not sure, don't have the correct information, but she's known regionally in the East African region as a lawyer, and she understands constitutional law very well. And I think you need to play that bite later. I don't know if there's time for that, but she brought in some issue, and I've listened to who is that guy in studio? Domi. Yes, he's been speaking about it, and he's saying that she's wrong and that kind of thing, but she knows what she's talking about. I had that thing, and I decided I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to put emotion into that. So I went to an AI chatbot. I asked DeepSeek if it's constitutionally wrong for the bread-based alignment, and here's what it told me. Just a moment. If here's what it said. The question of whether Kenya's proposed broad-based, not proposed really, government BBG deal violates the constitution is a highly debated legal and political issue. Here's a breakdown of key arguments. Okay, so number one, its potential constitutional concerns, which is Article 10, the article on national values. Critics argue that a BBG undermines democratic competition by creating a handshake government that dilutes opposition oversight. Number two, Article 94, Parliament's role. If the deal sidelines Parliament in decision making, it could violate the separation of powers. And Article 30, elective representation. Some claim BBG rewards political elites without electoral mandate, bypassing voters' choices. So I think the baseline of that argument is that it's a betrayal of competitive democracy. And that is what lawyers have. It's not Mother Karua alone I've listened to. I've seen some lawyers argue the same thing even on Twitter. Then what is democracy? Democracy is about people going to the ballot and choosing this leader. Then that is what they want. So if we find a way to bend things and find a way into bypassing, so then that bypasses the will of the people because we didn't want this side. And now we find a way to bend that and bring in the other people who are losers. And I think that is something that we need to fix as a country. I mean, losers should be losers, winners should be losers, should be winners. The will of the people should be respected. That's my final word. Shadizo.
Winners should be winners, losers should be losers. Huh?
Okay.
Now, just a throwback on that. Huh? There is something Jakindube said here last night about he was here during one party state, and Chama cha Baba na Mama, it was the only political party, and everybody went to parliament only through that political party. But still, at that point in time, we had dissenting voices, people who were opposed to government policies that were oppressive and decisions that were not pro-people. So you don't need to be in a different political party to criticize and wherever call the government when it's doing what is unbecoming. What is being proposed that if political parties are pro-government or are in an understanding, a memorandum of understanding with government, now that makes them unable to oversight the government, to me is an excuse. Because if during one party state we had people who could rise up and tell no to Moi, tell no to oppressive policies and whatever bills, why not? Mother Karua is on record on walking out on Moi. It was still that particular period of time. So if she was able to do then, what makes her unable to do it now? On the other hand, the Azimio agreement with the constituent parties, there is a difference between Azimio as a coalition and individual political parties. Mother Karua has pulled her party from Azimio, so she's holding ODM as what? She's no longer in that fraternity. She has withdrawn from that fraternity. So what is her on the issue of ODM having a memorandum of understanding with William Ruto? About the parliamentary seats. Parliamentary seats are usually voted for, not nominated, in terms of the people that are in various parliamentary committees. After the committees have been constituted, I think they take a vote to get the chairman and the secretary and the other people. as much as there is stipulated in the constitution that this committee should be led by somebody from the minority and this one from the majority, but in parliament we don't have government and non-government.
They've lost you. Okay. I appreciate for those who have been watching now. The time is so much past, the time is so much gone. I would like to bring it to an end, but we'll continue this conversation in the evening. So don't go away. Keep watching again, please. We'll keep the momentum from the evening. I suppose we go from 11, and we'll have the conversation as we are continuing up, with building up and continue up building the nation. So don't go away. Please keep it up and keep it on moving. Be part and parcel of this as we are creating the nation, and it will be cool. I don't have much to say, but hi and bye-bye to every one of you. I'll bring you also this other miss later in that same show.
Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye